Perfect. So, welcome to DurgaSoft. As this is our first class, first let me introduce about myself. I'm Divya. I have about 9+ years of experience into data analytics. I have experience in teaching all the data science subjects like SQL, Tableau, Python, Power BI, statistics, and machine learning. With DurgaSoft, I'm teaching MySQL and Tableau. Okay, so as you know, this is 35 days course. Okay, 35 sessions I'll take. Usually, I'll take classes from Monday to Friday. So 35 sessions it will be needed to cover the whole content. And first today, let me give the introduction of databases and SQL. And in the meanwhile, maybe before ending the class, I'll just show you the course content or the topics which we will cover in our course. Okay. So before starting, if possible, just tell me about yourself a little bit. Either you can unmute yourself and you can speak, or else you can even, type in chat box that, are you from IT background, non-IT background? Are you completely new to SQL? Are you currently students or currently working like that?
Currently, I'm working,
Okay.
but I'm new to the SQL.
Okay. Fine. So there, even you can, type.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I'm also like a working professional, but right now I'm like switching my job,
Okay.
and I want to like get more in-depth knowledge on SQL.
Okay. Perfect. I got it. Thank you. So usually in every batch we will get some mixed students. I'll get some working professionals who will have or who is having already 5-6 years of experience, but still wanted to learn some advanced concepts of SQL. Or else I will get some students like non-IT professionals who are trying to transit their career to IT industry. Or else few, in very rare cases we'll get some students, but mostly working professionals. Will only attend my sessions regularly. Okay, so keeping all of them in mind, what I'll do, I'll teach everything from scratch. Okay, right? If you don't have any idea on SQL, also that is fine. I will teach everything from scratch to the very advanced concept. Okay, so today, as this is our first demo, let me give you the introduction about databases and SQL. Okay, before that, let's talk little bit about the importance of data. Okay. So, of course, we all know that we are generating lots and lots of data nowadays, right? Like from last few years, the data generation is increased a lot, right? Maybe, from, I can say, from demonetization, when demonetization happened, demonetization? What happened when demonetization takes place? Overnight, we all started doing digital payments, right? Previously, we used to maintain cash, we used to do cash transactions, but from once the demonetization happened, overnight we started installing applications like maybe Paytm, Phone Pay, Google Pay, and we started doing digital transactions, right? And especially from COVID, when COVID pandemic, from that particular time, the data generation has become, you know we started generating lots and lots of data. It increased a lot. The data generation increased a lot, mainly from the COVID time, right? Why? Because we all know nowadays we all are using smartphones, and we are depending more on nowadays on online or applications only, right? If maybe we are watching OTT platforms. We are using many OTT applications. We are doing we are using many e-commerce websites or shopping applications like Amazon, Flipkart, right? We are ordering food online by using all the Swiggy or Zomato kind of applications, correct? Even we are doing work from homes. Even we are learning. We are something. Even today we are connecting online to learn something, right? So why I'm explaining all these things in the sense, in every day on the daily basis, we are using our smartphones a lot. We are depending on online a lot. Whatever we are doing on our smartphones, whatever we are doing in online, that is nothing but we are generating data. Correct? If I talk about Amazon, if we purchase any product from Amazon, what will happen? Some data will be generated, right? Like, to suppose I buy one, I bought one product at the Amazon end, the details of that product will be there anyways, like product name, it may be product price, right? And maybe product description, maybe supplier details of the product, and they will store even the customer details, like my details, customer name, customer address, customer phone number, Gmail ID, right? All these things will be saved in their, I mean, at their end. One for one product only, they are they are storing this much of data on daily basis. How many products will be sell in such big platforms like Amazon or Flipkart, right? So what I'm trying to tell is this, if I am specifically talking about Amazon only, this much, lots and lots of data is being generated at their end, right? So as this much of data is generating, definitely there should be some good system, good mechanism where we can store the data and maintain the data, right? That's where databases will come into picture. Okay. Database is a place where we will store the data. Amazon on daily basis, we can even imagine, like, they will get some huge number of orders, right? Definitely for every order they need to store the data. On that basis, definitely they should maintain some good system to maintain all this data, to store the data, to maintain the data, right? So Amazon will maintain their own database, like that. Each and every company nowadays, each and every business nowadays, they are maintaining their own databases to store the data. Basically, database is a place where we will store the data, or else I can say collection of data. Okay. Because previously also we used to save the data, but at that time the data generation is not this much, right? Before computers came into existence, we used to store the data in files manually. Once computers came into existence, we started storing data in Excel files, right? Excel files, maybe text files, right? But at that time, this much of data generation is not, right? But however, the data generation is increasing lots and increasing a lot. Databases came into the picture. Database is something where every company will maintain, according to their needs. According to their needs, they will buy some, some memory, whatever they needed, they will buy, they will maintain their database, and inside their database, they will store the data. Okay. So this is about database. Now, what is SQL? As we all know, the full form of SQL is structured query language, right? But exactly what is SQL in the sense, to make you understand clearly, let me give you one simple example. Okay. Maybe you all know about SQL already, but still, just to relate SQL with our real-time world, let me give you the definition of the SQL. Let me explain what is SQL by taking one simple example. Okay. So just consider this is one school. Okay, there is one school. There I'm talking about one particular class, maybe 10th A section. Okay. So in this class, what they are doing, they are maintaining some data in a register, physical register, something like a notebook. Okay. So in that register, maybe let's consider they are maintaining the student's data like student ID or roll number. Okay. Student name, maybe student marks, or maybe student attendance, something like this. Okay. Maybe if you remember in our childhood also, I mean, in our schools, they used to maintain the attendance in some registers, right, manually. So I'm just taking the same example. Okay, in this example, maybe let's consider they're storing the marks details of the students as well. Okay, one day the principal of the school thought to analyze the performance of the student, or maybe he thought to see the attendance of the student. And what he did, he called his peon. Okay, and he said to his peon that go to 10th A section and bring the register. Okay, so peon understood what principal want. He went to the 10th A section, he took the register and he gave to the principal. He gave that register to the principal, and whatever principal wanted to analyze, whatever principal wanted to see, he can see the details or the data from this register, right? Suppose the same scenario, if we consider, instead of storing the data in the registers, let's consider it is a college. Okay, instead of maintaining I mean it can be a college or school, but instead of maintaining the data in the register, let's consider they are maintaining, they can, I mean, the possibilities to maintain the data, either they can maintain the data in registers manually, or else they can maintain the data in Excel files, right? But we have some disadvantages or limitations in Excel file, which we will discuss going forward. Okay, for now we will skip this Excel file and we will directly talk about the databases. Okay, let's consider this is a big university, something like our JNTU University, where there are thousands of students, and instead of storing data manually in some registers, they started storing data inside database. Okay, in the same, this is just the previous scenario. Instead of registers, I'm considering now as a databases. If the data is inside database, and now in this case, whenever the principal wanted to analyze the data, what he will do here? Previously, when the data is in register, he called his peon and he said to his peon that go and bring the register for him. Then peon understood what is the principal wanted, and he gave the register to the principal. In this database scenario, if the data is stored inside the database and whenever the principal wanted to analyze something, here he should use a language called as SQL to communicate with the database. In the previous example, whenever he is telling to the peon, whenever he is communicating with the peon, he might use some language, right? It can be English, it can be Hindi, it can be Telugu, but he might use some language. Then only peon understood that principal wanted to see the register, right? So this is a kind of communicating way, right? So the principal communicated to the peon that he wanted to analyze the data, he wanted to see the register. In the same way, whenever he wanted to analyze the data which is stored inside the database also, to communicate whatever he wanted, he to communicate with the database, here he should use a language called as SQL, structured query language. Basically, SQL is a language which we will use it to communicate with the database. Then only database will understand what is our requirement, and accordingly it will give that particular data. Okay, clear?
Yes, madam, clear. Understood.
Perfect. Okay, so now let me give the definition of SQL. SQL is nothing but it is a language which is used to communicate with the database. Okay. So we just now saw that we are learning MySQL, right? Then what is MySQL? Okay, SQL is a language we understood. If we wanted to analyze any data from the database, we will use SQL as a language. Then what is MySQL in the sense? It is a database. It is any, MySQL is a tool, I can say. Okay, basically SQL is a universal declared language. It is a one language. All the concepts whatever we will use, the concepts belongs to SQL only, but to use that concepts we need to use any particular databases. Okay, it can be MySQL, it can be Oracle SQL, it can be SQL Server. Okay, like that we have so many databases in the market, we have so many softwares in the market. Each software belongs to one some companies. For example, MySQL and Oracle SQL are the databases from Oracle company. SQL Server is a database from Microsoft company. Like that, we have some companies in the market and we have some databases of that companies. Okay, accordingly, whatever if whatever company we join, in that company, whatever database they are using, we need to understand, or we need to use that particular database basically. But the concepts whatever we will use are the concept, that concepts belongs to SQL only. Okay, just like a small example, Android is an OS, right? But to there are many companies of phones, right? We have OnePlus, we have Samsung, we have, like that. The companies are maybe different, the companies of the phones may be different, but the OS is same, Android only. If you know how to use an Android mobile, you can use any mobile, right? You can use OnePlus, you can use Samsung, everything will be same. Correct. In the same way, if you learn SQL concepts, the concepts will be same, syntaxes will be same, whatever database it can be. The user interface will be, there will be little bit different of that user interface. That's it. The concepts will be same, the syntaxes will be same. Okay, no worries. Don't think that if you learn MySQL here and when you join in any company and if they are using SQL Server, don't think that it is a different thing. Everything is same, the syntaxes are same, the concepts are same, just the tools are different. That's it. Okay. So actually,
Ma'am,
let me.
here one question.
Mhm. Yes, please.
Is it MySQL is a free tool or how?
Yes, of course, it is a free tool, and that is why the reason why I am explaining MySQL in the sense it is an open source platform. That means it's free.
Yeah, it's open source,
Yeah,
right?
it's an open source platform. That is the reason it is freely available for everyone. That is the reason most of the companies nowadays are using MySQL, and that is the reason we are also using MySQL to teach the same concepts, the same syntaxes. Even I can use SQL Server and teach also, no problem, because everything is same. Actually, we can divide SQL into two types. Okay, one is SQL and the second one is no SQL. Okay, whatever tools I mentioned here, all the tools comes under SQL. It can be MySQL, Oracle SQL, SQL Server, PostgreSQL. Everything comes under SQL. In NoSQL, we have MongoDB. This is again entirely different. Okay, so whatever tools comes under SQL, or whatever softwares comes under, or whatever databases comes under SQL, all the databases will be same. But whatever databases comes under NoSQL, that is again different. With this knowledge, we can't use MongoDB. That is a different thing. Okay, so okay, I think it is clear whatever I we discussed so far.
Yeah, got it. And one more thing is like if I create the account in MySQL, means I want to access some database, right, to practice. Means
Correct.
that is also open source. How can I practice?
No, no. We need to install the software in our systems. I'll show you the installation process.
Okay, okay. That is also open source. That database is also open source, so that we can practice or something like
Yeah,
that,
we can
right?
practice freely like that. Okay. If it is licensed, we need to install, or to to log in, we need to pay to that particular companies. But as MySQL is open source, freely we can download, freely we can use.
Okay, okay, got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we understood about what is database, right? Inside database, basically we will store the data. But how we will store the data in the sense? First, we will create the databases. Inside database, we will create tables. Inside the tables, we will store the data. Okay. So just a second. How we will store the data inside tables in the sense? We will always store the data inside tables in the form of rows and columns. Okay. So let's take one example. Maybe I wanted to store some employees details. So I'm just creating one table name. Okay, my table name is employees. Okay, in that I'm storing some employee data, maybe like employee ID. Okay, I think it is visible. Okay, employee name, maybe salary, maybe date of join. Okay, let me enter some random data. Just a second. Okay, so as I said, employees is a table name. I wanted to store the data inside the table, and we will always store the data inside the table in the form of rows and columns, I said, right? So vertical thing is called as column. Okay, that is employee ID is one column. Okay, employee name is one column, salary is one column, date of joining is one column. In this employees table, I'm having 4 columns. Okay, and horizontal thing is called as row. That is, this is my first row of data, this is my second row of data. Okay, always table, inside table we will store the data in the form of rows and columns. We have here 2 rows and 4 columns. Okay, anyways, as this is an Excel file, I wrote like this, but in SQL we will use some syntaxes to create this table or to insert this data. Okay, so this is about the basic idea of what is SQL, what is database, how we will store the data, and why we are learning MySQL, because it is an open source platform. As it is open source platform, not only it can be startup companies, it can be big companies, MNCs, whatever it is. Most of the companies nowadays are preferring to use MySQL. If some companies are if they are maintaining Microsoft products, they will use SQL Server. Okay, but as I said, the concepts, the syntaxes, everything will be same. Whatever we are learning here, even you can try the same syntaxes in SQL Server also. No problem. Everything is same. Okay. So, yeah. Any doubts up to here?
No, ma'am.
No.
Oh, perfect. So, this is about the basic idea of databases and table or SQL. Okay. Now, let me show you the user interface of MySQL. Okay. Once we are done with our demo classes, I will show you the installation process of MySQL. No worries. For now, I'm just directly opening it. Once we open MySQL, like this, you can able to see we have local instance. We need to click on it. Just a minute. Let me close this files. So this is the user interface of MySQL Workbench. Okay. So as you can see, as we have in Excel files or Word documents, however we have here also we have some menu bar and toolbar. Okay. Here we have some options like file, edit, view, right? So basically, this is the, here we need to open one SQL file. That will be an editor page where we need to write our queries. So to open a new file, we have 2 options. Either we need to click on file, new query tab. Okay, we need to click on new query tab inside file. Then you can see now one new file is open for me. The file name is SQL file 4 by default. That is our file name. This is the editor page. Basically, I can write any queries here. I can write any queries here and I can save this in my system. Okay. And we will have a shortcut also. Either from file, new query tab, or else directly we have a shortcut, that is we need to click on the first icon in the toolbar. Okay. Let me click on it. You can see if I click on it again, I can able to open a new file, right? So anything is fine either from the file new query tab or else first icon from the toolbar. If we click on it, we can able to open a new file where we will write our queries. Okay. And here you can see something called as schemas. Below schemas, you can see some names here. This is basically the list of databases available in my system. Okay. Once you create any database name, you can able to find it here. But by default, whenever you install the software in your system, you can able to find only one database, that is sys. Okay. Sys database is a by default database which we will get by default once we install this software. And after that, whatever databases you will create, that database's name you can able to see here. Okay, like that. I'm having this many. That is the reason. I created this many databases. That is the reason you can see this many databases in this list. Okay, and at the bottom, this is information section. Okay, basically whatever we select here, we can able to see here in the information section. Just now I created sys database. That is the reason it is showing me sys. Suppose if I select any other, if I'm selecting SQL demo, it is showing that name here. And every database will have 4 sections. You can see one small triangle symbol here. We can just click on it to expand this. So in every database, we have 4 sections. That is tables, views, stored procedures, functions. One by one, we will learn everything in our course. But first, we are focusing on tables. Okay, if I expand tables, if I already created any tables, that table names I can able to see here. And if whenever I selected this employees table, here in the information section, I can able to see the details, right? The table name is employees. I'm having 4 columns: employee ID, employee name, salary, date of joining. Along with that, we have some data types. I'll explain what is data types in a while, but the main information about this tables or whatever we select here, that information we can able to find here in the information section. Okay, this is output section. Whenever you execute something, the result or the output, we can able to find it here. Okay, and finally, this is the editor page. As I said, SQL files. After opening an SQL file, we can write any queries here. Okay, we have some options inside SQL files also, right? So as I said, we can, after writing any query, we can save this file into our systems, right? So we can save this file by using this save button, the second option, right? If I just click on the save button, it will allow me to save this file in whatever folder I can select, right? And if I wanted to open already saved files, I need to click on this first icon, that is folder icon. Okay, so this one, folder icon. If I'm just clicking on this folder icon, I can able to open any of the files. Okay, so let's see one file. Okay, like this. We can open any of the already saved files by clicking this folder icon and by selecting the folder. Okay, this is the save button to save the file. This is the folder icon to open the already saved files. And the third icon is execute button. To see the output after writing any query, we need to execute it, and this is the execute icon, third one. Okay, and remaining options, whatever we have, like database query, going forward we will see about these options whenever it is required. Okay, for now these are enough. Okay, so yes, this is about the basic user interface of MySQL. Okay, now let's create our first database. Before creating the database, let's discuss some points here. Okay, first, already discussed about what is database, but let me write here. Database is nothing but it's a collection of data, right? Next, SQL. SQL is a language which is used to communicate with the database. Okay, right? So SQL, it is a language which is used to communicate with the database. Basically, inside database, we'll create tables, and inside the tables, we'll store the data. And whenever we wanted to, analyze any of that data, we will use SQL as a language to communicate with the database. Okay, so these are about the definitions, and let's discuss few points here. First thing is, MySQL is insensitive. That means either we can use uppercase or lowercase, no problem, anything is fine. Okay. And one more thing, we have something called as comments in SQL, like in any another programming language, like maybe Java, Python. In every programming language, we have something called as comments. In the same way, in SQL and in the MySQL also, we have comments. Comments is nothing but if we write anything inside the comments, that will be non-executable. That is, if you don't want to execute anything, simply you can keep it inside comments. Okay, we have two types of comments. That is, one is single row comment. The second one is multi-row comment. or else I can say single line comment, multi-line comment. This will be better. Okay. We have single line comment and we have multi-line comment. Okay. If you observe here, I wrote some lines like I wrote the definition of database, SQL, whatever I wrote here. Before that, I'm using one symbol, correct? For every line before, I'm using one symbol, two hyphens, right? This is nothing but a comment because this is not, I don't want to execute this one. I wrote this as a notes, right? This is not any query. I am not going to execute this one. Something like a notes, a theory kind of notes. I am writing this. I don't want to execute this. So to make SQL understand, I'm not going to execute this. We need to keep it inside comments. Okay, as I wrote it in a single line, I used this symbol. Basically, we have two symbols to indicate single line comments. One is this symbol, okay, whatever I wrote already, two hyphens, or hash. Okay, even I can use hash also, no problem. It is also considered as a single line comment only. Either you can use hash or else this symbol, which is indicating a single line comment, whatever we write inside it. If you write any query also, definitely we are humans, we can do any mistakes. Yeah, if you after writing any query, after writing any code, if it is not working properly, if you don't want that to execute or if you don't want anyone to consider that code, you can simply keep it inside comments. Okay, if it is single line, you can use this symbol or this symbol. If it is multi-line, like as a paragraph or multiple lines, if you wanted to keep in comment, you can use like this, hash star, and you can write whatever you want to and those star and hash. Okay. This is the start of the comment. This is the end of the comment. This is common in every programming language, in Java, in Python also. For multi-line comments, this symbols only we will use. Hash and star, star and hash. Start of the comment, end of the comment. In between, how many lines you want, you can write it in between. That will be considered as a comment. That is, it is non-executable. Okay. One more point, we have something called as delimiter. Delimiter in the sense, a symbol using which SQL will understand that is the end of the SQL statement. Okay. The end of a SQL query or SQL statement. Okay. Suppose we will write any queries. We will execute, but SQL should understand that is the end of the SQL query, right? So whatever symbol is used to understand that is the end of the SQL query, that one we will call it as a delimiter. By default, semicolon is a delimiter for SQL. Okay, complete SQL, not only MySQL, in any kind of databases, in any kind of SQL softwares, semicolon. Okay, semicolon is a default delimiter. That is, whenever SQL sees semicolon, it will understand that is the end of a SQL query. Okay, so here in MySQL, semicolon is optional. Okay, that is, if you use semicolon also no problem. If you don't use semicolon also no problem. Actually, what happened previously, many years ago, like 6 or 8 years ago, what we used to have, whatever programming, I mean, whatever SQL database we are using at that time, maybe Oracle SQL, SQL Server, whatever tools we used to use. Definitely, at the end of each query, we need to use a semicolon. It is a compulsory. If you forget to use semicolon, we will get an error. But nowadays, in all the softwares, semicolon is optional. If you use also no problem. If you don't use also no problem. Okay. In the same way, in MySQL also semicolon is optional. If you don't use also, it doesn't matter. If you use also, no problem. But when to use semicolon compulsorily, I will explain you in a while. Okay. So these are some points I wanted to discuss before understanding or before we start creating our first database. Any doubts till here?
No.
Perfect. Just a minute. Let me delete or okay. Now,
One question here means
please.
it's already connected to some database, whatever the window we opened in that tool.
No, it is not yet connected. I just opened a new file here. I'm going to create our new database, and then we will start creating, I mean, we will start using that database. Let's see. Okay. It
Okay.
just, what it did here is we need to install this MySQL workbench from online. So installation process, after once we are done with demo classes, I'll show you the installation process. Once if you install the software in your system, whenever you wanted to use, you can use it freely. Okay. So
Okay, got it.
the software is already installed in my system. I opened a new file and I'm starting using this now newly. I'm not using already created databases. I'll create a new database now, and then let's see how we are going to create a database, how we are going to use the database, how we're going to use create tables. Everything we will learn now. Okay. So now let's create our first data. Okay. First of all, before this, we have something called as a syntax in SQL. Syntax is nothing but you can consider it as a uh, rule, it has a formula, it has a yeah, maybe actually the actual meaning of syntax is a rule, or else you can consider it as a formula. That is, whatever we do here, for everything we will have some syntaxes, and we need to follow that syntax. That is, for creating database we will have a syntax, for creating table we will have a syntax. For everything whatever we do here, every task whatever we do here, they will be already defined syntaxes. We need to use that syntax to do that task. Okay. So definitely we need to remember all the syntaxes, but it's not that difficult. With practice, we can able to remember everything. Okay. So let's create our first database. As I said, for everything we will have a syntax. So for creating database, also we have a syntax. Syntax for creating database. That is, let me write here only. Create database name. This is the syntax for creating the database. Okay. Create database name. Now let's create our first database. As I'm writing syntax, I kept it inside a comments, but now I wanted to create a database and I wanted to execute it. That is the reason I'm not using comments before this. Okay. So what is the syntax? Create database name. As this is a demo, I'm just giving uh, database name as SQL demo. This is my database name. Okay. Create database name. I'm giving SQL demo as our database name. Okay. So to execute this, we need to select it and we need to click on this third icon, execute button. Okay. Once we select it, in the output section at the bottom, you can able to see the result. If you see green color, tick mark like this, that means it is successfully executed. If you have any errors, you can able to see a red color cross mark. Okay, now it is executed successfully. That is the reason it is showing me one row affected with a green color tick mark, right? So we created our first table. To see this table name in this, to see this database name in this list, we need to refresh once. Here you can see beside schemas, we have a refresh icon, right? Just a second. Here we have a refresh symbol. We need to refresh once. Okay, I'm clicking here. You can see it got refreshed and I got my database name, SQL demo, right? I can expand here. As I said, in every database, we'll have 4 sections. But for now, we didn't create any tables. That is the reason it is not allowing me to expand the tables section, right? So this is how we will create our database. Whatever database, whenever you wanted to create any database, you need to use the syntax create database name. And every time you need to give a unique database name. Okay, if you give the same database name which is already there, it will throw us error. Let's see. Suppose once again I'm executing the same thing. That means once again I'm trying to create the same database SQL demo. What will happen? It is throwing me error. So like this, we'll get red color cross mark, and the error message also we will get here. So that by seeing that message, we will understand what mistake we did. It is saying me can't create database SQL demo. Database exists. That is, already we have the database is already existing with this name. We cannot create one more database with the same name, right? That is the error message. Okay. So every time we need to use unique names even while creating databases, even while creating tables also. While creating tables also, we need to give the unique names all the time. Okay. Now we created the database. Now what we need to do, the second thing is to activate the database. Okay. What is activating the database in the sense? Suppose you can see I'm having this many databases, right? I know that I wanted to use SQL demo database, but our data SQL don't know that, right? I know we are going to use SQL demo database, but we need to make SQL also understand, we need to make SQL also know that we wanted to use this particular database only. So to make that understand what we need to do, we need to activate that particular database. Okay, without activating any database, if you start writing any query and if you execute, it will throw us error stating none of the database is in activation. Okay, no database is activated, that kind of error message we will get. So definitely we need to activate the database and then only we need to execute any queries, because then only SQL will understand we are going to use this SQL demo database, and under that database only they will execute whatever queries we are going to run. Okay, so to activate the database, we need to use, the syntax will be use database name. Okay, so let me write use, our database name is SQL demo, right? As I said, it is a is insensitive. Either I can use upper letters, lower letters, no problem. It will work. It doesn't matter. Okay. The complete MySQL is case insensitive. You can use whatever you want. So we are going to activate the database. To activate the database, we need to write use database name. Okay. So let me select, let me execute, and you can see that particular database name is got highlighted, right? Remaining is in light in color. This particular database is turned into some dark bold colors, right? That means this particular database is in activation now. Whatever queries going forward I'll execute, all the queries will be executed under this database only. Okay. So every time, actually, of course, in real time, in companies, we will use only one database mostly. We'll connect to our client's database. So at that time, no need of activating the databases. But here in learning process, we will have so many databases. So every time, whenever you have multiple databases, first you need to activate the database and then only you need to work. Okay. Usually what will happen, every batch I'll maintain one database. Suppose for this batch now I created SQL demo. For next batch, maybe I'll use some SQL 5 database. Okay. So what I need to do before starting using that, executing any queries in that batch, first I need to activate this particular database and then I need to execute. Suppose, for example, next, maybe just taken as an example, next 9 o'clock I have another batch. In that batch I'm using SQL 5 database. But suppose if I forget activating the database and if I execute any query, what will happen? Already currently this SQL demo is in activation, right? It won't send me any error, it won't throw me any error. Whatever query I'm executing, that query will be executed under this SQL demo database only. Okay. But actually I need to use SQL 5 database, right? So like that every time, I just wanted to say you that we need to be careful. Whatever database we wanted to use, first we need to activate it, then only whatever queries we will execute, that will be stored under that particular database. If none if none of the databases are in activation, then only it will throw us error. But if suppose one of the database is activated, I wanted to use any another database, if I forget to activate, then the previously activated database will be used. Okay, so we need to be careful in this part. All right, so we created our first database, we activated our database, and the next step we need to create. Okay, I hope whatever we discussed till now, it is clear, right? Without any doubts.
Yes, madam. Clear.
Perfect.
No, no. One more query here is in the
Yes,
real
please.
world scenario. Okay. some database is created, means okay, suppose I'm fetching means or storing some of the live content data, means okay, one user by purchase something items, okay, I stored that in some database. Means it keeps on updating. I want to fetch that. That is a real world scenario that will means automatically that data will be stored in the that particular database. Is it like that?
Uh, I mean, you are saying we have one database where we are
Ah,
maintaining users' data. If any new user came, whether it will
yes.
directly, get updated or not, you are saying, right?
Yes, yes, correct.
Yeah, of course. We will, going forward, we will see one concept called as procedures. Basically, what we will do in real time, on daily basis, we will run some procedures. Okay. We will update the data. Where whatever data, whatever new users, definitely on daily basis, we will get many updates, right? If I'm specifically talking about banking domain, hourly basis, we will get the updates, right? Maybe the balance amount of our customers, so the some credits will be happened, debits will be happened. Every time there will be changes in the data. If it is any
Yes.
another domain also, maybe new users will come, they will purchase some products. Every time in any company, whatever domain it is, whatever data it is, there will be some updates. So that updates will be definitely will be reflected automatically. But to, you know, to happen that reflection, we will run some procedures on daily basis. That will be the daily tasks will whatever I mean the daily tasks will be done by the SQL developers according to their domains. So what is procedure, how we will create it, on daily basis, how we will run it, everything we will learn on that particular class.
Okay, got it.
Okay, fine. So now let's create our first table. So for creating table also, we will have a syntax, that is create table. Table name, we need to give the table name. This is the syntax I'm writing. Okay. So after writing the table name, we need to use parenthesis, that is brackets. Okay. Now, we need to open a bracket, and within the brackets, we need to mention column name. Maybe column name 1, comma, column 2, column 3, like that, how many columns we want. If you see here, in employees table, I used 4 columns. Employee ID, employee name, salary, date of joining, right? Like that, how many columns we want, that many column names we need to give here inside the brackets in this create table syntax. Create table, table name, within the brackets, we need to define the column names. But here, along with the column name, for every column name, we need to define data type also. Okay, what is data type? We will see. But for every column name, after defining every column name, we need to define the data type also. Okay. This is the end of the table. Okay, like this. This is the syntax basically. Let me just remove this comment, no problem. Create table name, within the brackets, how many columns we want, that many columns we need to define, and for every column we need to define the data type. Now before creating our first table, we need to understand what is the data type, how many types of data types are there in SQL, and after understanding that concept, then only we will create our first table. Okay, that one I'll explain in the tomorrow's demo class. Tomorrow is also a demo class. Please use the same link and connect tomorrow also. I'll continue from this point. Okay, I'll explain about data types, and then we will create our first table. Okay. Before that, I wanted to show you the course content or the topics which we will cover in this course. Okay, so first, introduction to databases and SQL, which we are done today. Limitations of Excel file, in couple of days I'll explain. Basically, this is an extra concept for knowledge purpose. I included this because in by using Excel also we can store the data. Then why databases came into existence? Because we have some limitations in Excel file. What are all the limitations we have, and how we overcome all the limitations in database? Like by using which concept we overcome that particular limitations also we will learn. Okay. Next, creation of database and tables. We created our first database. Tomorrow we'll create our first table. Next, once we are done with demo classes, I'll show you the installation process as I said. Next, data types in SQL. Tomorrow it will be covered. Okay. Then the next concept will be SQL sublanguages. Okay. We have some SQL commands We have some commands in SQL. All the commands will be divided into some sublanguages. Basically, we have 5 types of sublanguages. Okay. In all the commands are divided into this 5 types of sublanguage. Okay, DDL, DML, DCL, TCL, and DQL. These are the 5 types of sublanguages we have. Under each sublanguage, we have so many commands. We learn everything very practically. Okay, very important concept. Okay, these are all the SQL sublanguages. Actually, 5 types of sublanguages are there. Everything we will learn practically. Okay, and then integrity constraints. Okay, we have some integrity constraints on SQL, that is like not null constraint, unique constraint, primary key, foreign key, check constraint, default constraint. Like that, we have some constraints. Why we will use them, when we will use them, everything we will discuss detailedly by solving some examples. Okay, so up to here, up to integrity constraints concept, these are very basics of SQL. Okay, so up to this particular topic, I will teach everything by taking some normal examples, normal tables, like maybe employees table, students table, customer table. Okay, like that, random tables I'll create, maybe sales table, random tables I'll create and I'll explain. Once we are done with basic concepts, then I'll give you the specialty of my course is that I will explain everything by using a real-time database. Okay, because anyways, whenever you started working on any company, whenever you started working on any database, definitely we will use real-time databases there. There will have, we will have some huge volumes of data. Correct? We need to learn how to maintain that particular large volumes of data, right? So in learning process itself, instead of learning the concepts by using simple employees table, 4 5 rows table, instead of that, if you learn the concepts by using real time database where you will have large volumes of data, it will be, it's a kind of, you will get some kinds of hands on experience in dealing with the databases, right? For that reason, I am using real time database here. That database is nothing but movies database. It is a kind of OTT platform database. Okay, basically, once we are done with integrity constants, I'll give you that real-time database. I'll explain you that database and I'll show you how to restore that database into your systems. Because going forward, we will learn all the concepts by using that database only. Okay. And the next concept is operators and clauses. Very important concept. Yes, Surya, any
Ma'am,
doubts?
one doubt here.
Yes, please.
Yeah, for that real-time database, you will create it from scratch, or it is like already you
No,
created and
already ready-made database. I'll give it to you.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah. No, I already have the script. I'll just give it to you directly. You can just restore it. You can activate it, and you can work on it. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. So yeah, the next concept is operators and clauses. Very important concept. We have some clauses in SQL like where clause, order by clause, distinct clause, limit clause, group by clause, having clause. Like that, we have some clauses, and we have some operators like and, or, not, range operator, membership operator, that is in operator. Like that, we have some operators, especially like operator. Like operator is used to search for data patterns, whatever domain you choose. Okay, it can be data science, it can be full stack development, testing, whatever domain it is. When wherever you are working, definitely we will use this concept, because we will search data based on, whenever you wanted to search any data based on any particular patterns, you will use like operator. We have some wildcards in like operator. By using this, how we will find the data in particular patterns, we will learn detailing. Okay, so everything we will learn by solving many examples practically by using this movies database. Okay. Next, functions. That is, we have some inbuilt functions in SQL like number functions, character functions, date functions, aggregate functions. Under each type, we have so many functions. We will learn everything practically. Next, joins. Very important concept. I believe, SQL is a complete, it's a backbone for complete IT industry. Okay. And like that, I believe joins is a backbone for complete SQL. Wherever you work, whatever domain you work, whatever database you work, definitely we will use joins a lot. On daily basis, we will use joins a lot. Very, very important topic. Okay. Basically, joins is something whenever we have data in multiple tables, how we are going to join that tables to get our particular data, whatever data we required to get that data, how we are joining the tables is the concept here. We have many types of joins like inner join, left join, right join, outer join, self join, cross join, natural join. We have so many types of joins. Everyone, anyone can teach you what is the types of joins, but the main important task is here, the main important thing here is we need to understand what type of join will be used. I mean, when we need to use what kind of join, right? In which scenario we will use which join is a big question here. So I'll explain here. Once after explaining all these types of joins, we will even discuss the scenarios. I will even explain in which situation, in which scenarios we need to use which join. Okay. And specific and especially, as I said, joins is very important only for this concept. Now we will solve many examples on movies database. Not only the examples, whatever we will solve here in the class, I'll give some assignment questions or some practice questions, I can say. I'll give some time, like 1 week or 10 days. It's again, it's up to you. If you are comfortable, if you want, you can solve those questions just to check yourselves that whether you can able to solve joins or not. No need of submitting any answers for me. You can just, it's a kind of self check. You can analyze yourself whether you can able to solve joins or not, whether you understood joins or not. Okay, after 1 week or 10 days of time, whenever you are ready, I'll explain that solutions in the class so that you can recheck by yourselves whether you are correct or not. Okay? This concept, I mean, this process I'll use only for joins because this is important. Okay, next, regular expressions. Again, it is same like operator. Okay, regular expression is also used for pattern matching of the data only. We have some anchors in regular expression. Basically, in like operator, you can search only by two ways. In regular expression, we have so many ways. We have so many anchors here. So in so many ways, we can search for the patterns, which we will learn very practically going forward. Next, group by clause, having clause. As I said, we have some clauses in SQL. We have, the reason why I mentioned group by clause, having clause here in the sense, we can solve good examples on these concepts after learning joins. That is the reason I mentioned it here. Group by clause, having clause, and using aggregate function in group by. Okay. Next, subqueries. Subqueries is nothing but if you write one query inside another query, that is called as a subquery. There are many types of subqueries like correlated, non-correlated, single row subquery, multi-row subquery. Everything we will learn practically. Next, normalization, denormalization, normal form. Basically, can bet in any other institute. Of course, they will include this concept, but everyone will teach you this theoretically only. But I'll show you practically how we are going to convert denormalized data into normalization. Especially if anyone is, working, if anyone wanted to work as a data engineer, the they need to learn these concepts because data engineers are the one who will convert denormalized data into normal form. First of all, what is denormalized data? In the sense, we will get raw data from our clients, right? That raw data is called as a denormalized data. It won't have any form, very raw. Randomly, they will give data in Excel files. We need to clean that data. We need to understand the data, and then we need to, convert that data into normalized form. Of course, this is not a data analytics class. I won't show you the cleaning process, but I'll show you the raw data and I'll directly show you how we are going to convert that raw data into a perfect database. The perfect database, like, I'm giving you movies database, right? That is a perfect database. But how, how we got that data, in the sense, raw data we will get from the clients, and data engineers are the persons who will convert that raw data into a perfect database. So whatever data is satisfying this normalization form, okay, the data, if the data is in normalization form, that is said to be a perfect database. So to convert denormalized data into normalization, we will use this normal forms concept. We have three types of normal forms: 1NF, 2NF, and 3NF. We have some rules in it. I'll show you practically how we are going to convert raw data into a perfect database, that is denormalized data into normalization, by using these three normal forms. Practically, I'll show you. I'll use sales data here and we will convert that practically in the class. Okay. Next, diagrams concept, very important. Views, index, these are all small concepts, but very, very important concepts. Okay. And not only explaining these concepts, what is the use cases, why we will use views, why we will use index, why we will use, in which scenarios we will use temporary tables specifically, especially if you wanted to remove duplicate data. at a time. Suppose there are 2000 rows, in that 800 rows are duplicate rows. You wanted to remove that 800 duplicate rows at a time, right? Then we can't remove the duplicate rows by using delete commands or any such commands. By using temporary tables concepts, easily we can use the duplicate data at a time quickly. Okay. So like that, views is one concept, index is one concept. Index is basically we will use to better the performance of the database. Temporary tables are used to remove the duplicate data, and city is one of the most important, most advanced concept. City is called as common table expression. Okay. We will discuss detailedly going forward. Next, stored procedures. On daily basis, we will use this procedures concept. Next, window functions, one more important and very useful concept. Nowadays, in every interviews, you can expect at least one or two questions from window functions. We have 5 types of window functions like rank, dense rank, row number, lead and lag. Everything we will discuss, detailedly and practically. Every concept, whatever I mentioned here, I will teach every concept by solving the examples on movies database only. Okay. And at the end, we will solve some interview questions, frequently asked interview questions. Okay. This is a course content of MySQL, which we will cover in 35 sessions. Any doubts, anyone?
No, ma'am, nothing. No.
Okay, as this is a first class, I wanted to explain you the course content. That is the reason, the time is already, it's late. Um, and as you know, the course fees is only 3,000. Already our team mentioned the registration details in the chat box. And as you attended the session, you will get a mail also where they will mention the registration details. If you really like the content or the way of my explanation, you can get register with us by following that process, or else tomorrow is also a demo class. Please attend tomorrow's class as well. Let's continue from this today's concept itself. Like, tomorrow I'll teach about data types, and then we'll create our first table, and then we will start learning about sublanguages concept. Okay.
Okay, got it.
If anything else, if you wanted to ask me, you can just ask me now, or else we will meet tomorrow.